creator, not a job loser.
So, Senator, let me ask you about something I alluded to off the top of the show, where Harry Reid's been going on the House floor, calling David Koch un-American. You know New York City. You love New York City. I know you have a lot of supporters that know what David has done for the Lincoln Center, know what David has done for cancer research. You take all the money he has given to this city as far as the arts go and as far as health care goes and as far as cancer research goes. It probably dwarfs his political contributions. Do you associate yourself with Harry Reid's remarks that this man is, quote, un-American?
Well, let me say this, Joe. I know Chuck Scarborough. What can I tell you?
Exactly. Okay. And Chuck Schumer.
Exactly. Joe Schumer. Anyway, let me just say this. You know, when David Koch does ads that say cut government and you cut NIH, far more about cancer research is hurt than the good he does, which he should get credit for giving to charity. Private charity cannot deal with the major problems we face as good and noble a thing as it is.
Senator, can't we have a disagreement about how charity is funded without calling somebody un-American? Because I don't believe money should be funneled through inefficient bureaucracies. And I'm not talking about NIH here.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
But can't we have, though, a disagreement on how best to fund private charities without calling somebody un-American?
Well, let me say this. NIH is not inefficient. No one has felt it's
inefficient. I'm talking about
Every
the word
expert...
un-American, Senator.
No,
do you think David Koch is un-American?
David Koch's commercials, which are huge amounts of money, I think they should not be allowed.
Do you think David Koch is un-American?
Look, the bottom line is very simple. When you do, the commercials he runs are not part of the American mainstream, are not what should happen. No two people should have such a huge influence on our politics.
Like the guy who's spending $100 million out of San Francisco, should Harry Reid call our MoveOn.org, should you call them un-American? I'm asking a simple question here, and I've got great respect for you. Do you think that David Koch is un-American, or should Harry Reid apologize?
I think the commercials he are running are against the American grain and un-American.
Okay,
yes,
what about
and
David himself?
I think what Harry Reid was saying was the actions are un-American, and they should change.
So you think David Koch's actions are un-American? Do you think David Koch is un-American?
In running those ads, absolutely. In giving to charity, no. In running those ads, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's clarifying.
Chuck
Hey, so congratulations on yesterday, and I hope that works out well for you guys.
Thank you.
And we'll continue this conversation. Tina, listen, I disagree with so much that George Soros has done through the years as far as his political giving goes. But George Soros, there have been conservatives that have been vicious attacking George Soros. I think George Soros has a right. He made the money. George Soros has the right to spend that money in a way that he thinks is best. I would much rather him get involved in the political process than buy a 300-foot yacht and sail around the world. What is wrong with this, whether you're on the left or the right?
I think it's right. I mean, I think the Koch brothers should spend their money exactly, as they wish when it comes to free speech and doing what they're doing. And it behooves the other side to come back with very persuasive arguments. I think that all this bitter rhetoric, though, is really much more about people's frustration and rage in the sense of the domination of money in our political process. There is just a sense more and more that the donors own it. The donors, own the media they can buy. They own the people that they fund. And that in a sense that there's just a declining feeling that there's any kind of freedom of speech or action because the donors own it. And that, I think, is why you're seeing so much increased bitterness towards individuals like Koch.
I guess it's one thing if somebody shouts it out on the street or even says it on a cable news show. It's another if the majority leader of the United States Senate is calling somebody un-American. I mean, Joe McCarthy is still reviled all these years later for calling people un-American. And yet this is an obsession with Harry Reid, Nicole.
Listen, I would have preferred that George Soros bought the yacht instead of pouring that money into ads against George W. Bush, but we do have free speech in this country, and I think that when you have someone like Harry Reid, he forces people like Senator Schumer to stand by him even when it's uncomfortable. He was very uncomfortable answering your question, Joe, because of course the Kochs are not un-American. You may disagree with them, but what they're doing is within their laws, it's within their right, and it's entirely consistent with the history of free speech in this country.
But isn't this all about the whirling soundbite idiocy anyway? I mean, you have people like Langone, you know, describing the attacks on Rich as, you know, as Hitler-like, you know, as the Third Reich, you know, as if the sort of Davos talking points for the Third Reich. I mean, it's insane. I mean, the way that people talk about each other is all just about trying to get that cable flavor that goes on all the time.
Tina, can you stay for more blocks? Because there's something else I wanted to get to you about. We'll be right back.